Hello everyone, and this is the third video of our Photon Unity networking series. And last time what we covered was basically the menu system and the basic connecting to the server. And what we'll be doing today is actually doing the room listing. I think that's all we're going to get through today. So first what we're going to do is go back to our script of our setup script, or whatever script you have. And what we're going to have here is we're just going to have a new one, which is public void join room. Okay, that's the one that we already have, right? So what we're going to have now is we're going to have a public override void on room list update. So this is also another Photon function, sorry. And it's going to be void on room list update. It's that one. And then we don't have that base anymore, and it creates this automatic one with a list of a room info and a room list. And this is what we're going to need. So this is just going to get all the lists that we have. So what we're going to have inside here is pretty simple. We're just going to loop through the lists, and then we're just going to add them one by one. So what we can do is first we're going to have to find a place to put them. So we can have a public transform, because this is where we're going to be instantiating it. And we're just going to name it room spawn position. And then in here, we're just going to write a for loop. So for, and a cool shortcut is tab. So 2 times tab immediately. Okay. So immediately after type for, 2 tab. So tab times 2. And then that automatically generates the for. I'm not sure if it works for anything else. I know it definitely does not work for if statements, but you can also use for. And int I is fine. And then after this, it's not going to be that length. It's going to be room list, because we want to loop through all the lists. The room list, and after you just press enter, and those things go away, or the special colors go away, the highlights. And instead of room list, because we can't just do it on our own, room list.count. So what this does, what room list.count, it just gets how much objects are in the room list, and then it loops through all of them. So what we're going to do inside the for loop is instantiate, because we're going to instantiate every single, we don't want to leave out some. You can always do that as a feature later. And then what we're going to do is that we have to make a reference to our special thing, because we just can't have a bunch of fixed stuff that's already in the scene, because they might run out or they might be too much. So we're going to have to instantiate a prefab every single time we made a room. So we're going to make a public game object. I'm just going to write room prefab. And then in the instantiate, we're just going to instantiate the room prefab. And we're going to be at the room spawn position. So at the room spawn position. And then inside it, what we're going to do is that we're going to set up a few things. We're going to make another script for inside it. So let's just quickly add that for now. And what we can do now, so what this should do is it should automatically update for the entire thing. It should add a new prefab for the entire place. I don't think there's anything else for that. So we also have to make another one for leave room, because I never did that last time with the room menu. What we can do is a public void, because we're going to access it with a button. Public void leave the room. And inside, just basically the same thing, as simple as creating a room and joining a room. Photon network dot leave room. Again, this is leave room. And that just leaves the room. And now what we can do is if we just quickly save. We just quickly save, and we just go back to the back button and just change it a little so that it actually leaves the room while we're doing it. So after this is done, you can see it in the back button, we are opening menus. While we're doing this, what we should also do is to use the leave room function. So we add another function, drag in our main, or wherever you put your setup script is. Just move all the way to the bottom. Add that runtime only and setup, and we're just gonna have leave the room. And what this does is that since we're joining this room, we're leaving it now. So on leave room, what we can also do is add a debug log just to make sure that we are leaving the room. So we can just set it debug.log left room. If this works, then it does. Okay, so next let's get going with the room list and actually showing it on the UI. There might be a few more concerns with the new code with people who haven't used Photon yet, which is that in the create room function, we don't actually say, we don't actually say that we actually join the room. Well, that's fine because if you create a room, the client automatically joins it. So now let's just go back to Unity and start on the room list stuff. So now what we should do now, since we have made the room menu, this is where our players are going to be seeing who is inside the game. We're going to do the players after that. So now let's make another menu. Yes, another menu. And this time it's going to be a find a room menu. So we're just going to be duplicate. And we're just going to name it multiplayer, not create room. And be find room. So find room. And what's going to be inside here, if we just quickly just enable that, instead of a room name inside here, we're just going to delete that real quick. And then what we can do here is that instead of two buttons, we're going to have only a back button. And we're going to change the back button a little. Instead of create room, we're going to have, this is just going to be called join room. So it's going to be a little different than what you mean by join room. So inside here, it's going to be, instead of create, it's going to be join. And then in the back button, of course, we're going to have to shuffle around. So we're going to close this one. And then it's going to be game object that set active. It's going to be false, of course. And then we're just going to go all the way back to title menu. So it's already good. And now, really, it's fine, really. So now what we can do now is do back. We seem to have moved our text a little. So we just quickly just put that back down. Oh, actually, no, that's actually not our fault. If we just set that to 0 real quick. Set that to 0 real quick. What we can do now is set this to weird. Okay, that's pretty weird. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, yes, never mind. I figured it out. All you have to do is do that and it's fine. Okay, yeah. So what you have to do now is that we have to create the rolling down scripts. But what's going to be different than normal is that we're going to create two. So if we press one of these, we're going to not. So in the UI, we're basically not going to join the room. But it looks like we're. But in the script, we're actually going to join the room. So then we can see, and the second one, who the players are inside this room. So what we can do now is inside here. You might not really know this, but we're just gonna create a UI, and I think it's going to be it's gonna be an image. Yes, an image, and this is gonna be called our room listing, and this is gonna list all our rooms. Listing, and this is gonna list all our rooms. So I think white suits for it, so we can go back into 2D mode as we already are. Turns out. Mode, and then we can just stretch it out and move it because we want it to be the side. So it can be in front of the back button. So and then we can just stretch it out like this. We can stretch it out like this, and it's gonna take about half of the screen because it's gonna be all the rooms. Move that to the side a little bit, and that's gonna be a room list. And what we can do now is just duplicate that. Instead, now just move it to the other side. So instead of pushing .x there, just going to be 190, that automatically goes to the other side. Instead of room listing, this is going to be called player listing. So this, so for start, it's going to be empty, but when we press a room, it shows that we just press the room and see who's inside, but actually we're joining the room and seeing who's inside. But that's the actual join button. But that's only the only thing that's going to do is just move us to another menu. So player listing, and then of course we're gonna have to. This is pretty good already. And now inside our main, you're gonna remember we have a bunch of components we didn't do. So we're gonna do room first and then player next video. We're just setting up for now. And this is gonna be our room spawn position because we're spawning it where we want it to be. Yep, we're spawning where we want to be. And next we gotta create the room prefab. So if we just quickly go and make one. So if we just do UI dot text mesh pro, be text, and instead of white text, because we can't see it at all, we're gonna see it just gonna go black, because you can't 000 hexadecimal code. And you can see that the text seems to be a little off center, so what we can do is just make it go into the middle like that. And if you want to change the text, and I feel like the text is a little too big, so I can change it down to 10 if you want, 20. It's really just messing around. I think 20 is good. And what we can do now is just change the scale a little bit. So we can just set this to maybe 210 to 20 looks best. Yeah, 220 fits the entire thing. And then that's good. And this can be our room list item. Now what we do is that we're going to make another pair of prefabs folder. So we can create a new folder called prefabs. And it's going to make it. And what we're going to do is that we're just going to we're going to, okay, yeah, sorry. I got really confused there, sorry. So instead of a text, I got really confused. It's actually going to be a button. It's actually going to be a button because we have to be able to click it, right? So it's going to be a button that text mesh pro. And it's just going to be called room list. It's room list. And then once again, you can change it if you want. And right now, the button really fits perfectly, really. And what we can do is set this to 0, 0, and 0 so we can scale it. And we can once again set this to 200 or 220, right? 220? Yep, 220. 220 looks good. And then inside, I think the text is really fine, and I think this is pretty good already. So what we can do now is just drag this into prefabs folder. And now since we have the prefab, we actually don't need it. So inside a prefabs folder, you can see that we have now just this button and a canvas. And really, that's all we really need. So what we can do now is go back out of this view. And we need to add a title. So all we have to do is inside here, we're going to go UI.textMeshPro, and just going to be called our title. Okay, not really a title. You could add this to your title menu too if you want. And what we could do is hopefully make this a little further. Apparently not. Okay. So we're just gonna have to deal with that. Actually no, can I move these backs? No, I can't apparently. But what you could do, I think, is just move them in front. Will that work? Nope, it won't. Oh well, anyway, we're just gonna have to deal with that. And then we can just name this find room. And what we can do here is just set it as the middle, and then that's pretty good, I feel like. Now they have a find room. You might want to move that up a little bit more. But otherwise, I feel like that's okay. And a find room. And now, really, what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new script. And inside the script, it's just called room listing. So this is going to be in charge of actually listing our rooms. Room listing. And then if we just quickly open that up in Visual Studio. Now if we open up in Visual Studios, we can just do these start functions. And inside here, also with using Unity Engine, we're going to have to use Photon.pun again. I don't think we need anything else. And then model behavior is pun.callbacks. So after this is done, what we can do now is we're going to make a reference to our text. So the text that you saw with the room list item. It's just going to be a public tmp_text. So this is how you do text mesh pro text. And inside, okay, public is not right. Public. And then it's going to be called our room name or room. Yeah, I'll call it name and info. What we're going to store here is the number of people in the room and the room name, of course. And next what we're going to do is public room info. So this just gets the room, like all the info from the room, because we need it to know what's inside everything. Just going to room info, lowercase room info again, room info, and we're gonna make another public void. Actually, that's just gonna be called fill in because we want to fill in everything that we have. Because we have everything there, and inside here we're gonna grab a room info because we need not room listing, room info, and we're just gonna call it info. And what's going to be inside here is that first we're going to grab our room info. Oh yeah, we also forgot to be using TMP Pro. So that's why the TextMess Pro didn't work. Okay, so there. Then we add that semicolon. So then here what we're going to do is set our room info. So room info lowercase is going to be equal to the info that we just received. And what we're going to do now is set our text to that info because we want to set the text to info. So we're going to grab room name and info dot text, so that just gets the text. We can change it. It's gonna be equal to we'll do number of players first. Yeah, let's do that first. So how do we do that is just a simple Photon. Actually, no, let's run this in not packages. It's gonna be Photon network dot current room, because by now actually wait, no, the current room, current room, because we're going to be joined by then, it's going to be player count dot to string. So we do seem to have a little problem here that I did not notice. And in here it's going to be, actually before that, we're going to write num of, I'm just going to write num, that's it. It's going to be plusing that, plus, and then it's going to go add another plus. Where's the plus sign? Yes, there we go. Then plus the room info that we just received, so room info dot name, and this is just going to grab the name of the room. Yeah. So type of name room info could not be found. Okay, so oh yes, we also need using Photon that time. And there, it's gone. Okay, so that's, so unfortunately I am out of time, so we'll finish this next video, so see you next time.